Welcome to Real Life Investing. This is Al getting in contact with you guys today. Going to talk a little bit about that big, beautiful bill. Let's go ahead and set the scene a little bit, talk about the Bitcoin, which is what we're talking about, which is going to be at $104,000 right now. We see Ethereum's at 2,600 for those that are interested. Let's go to some Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance right now is at 63.3%. So Bitcoin is still pretty dominant at the moment. Let's go ahead and, speaking of Bitcoin dominance, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on in the world. Now, the big, beautiful bill. Yes, the big, beautiful bill. All right, Elon Musk called it an abomination, but the big, beautiful bill might be crypto's backdoor stimulus. This is from Crypto News. Crypto.com .news. All right, let's keep it moving. So yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. We got to understand that one thing about this so-called big beautiful bill is that we're not necessarily asking whether it's good for the United States. The only thing we're kind of asking is it good for Bitcoin? And in this particular case, I do believe it is. So let's go ahead and look at this information as we go forward a little bit. So what we're dealing with here is the fact that this bill is going to do some good things for a lot of people, but mostly it's going to keep the inflation going. So by that happening, what's going to happen is that Bitcoin may wind up being used as a hedge for inflation, so which would drive up the price of Bitcoin, which in the long run is good for crypto and Bitcoin, but at the same time, is it good for America is the question. So let's just go ahead and look at what may happen in part of this article for crypto mining firms. It says a newly bought mining rig could be written off in full rather than depreciate over time. So also, let's go ahead and look down a little bit further. So right here, it says the bill also retains the corporate and individual tax rates introduced in 2017. A steady 21% corporate tax rate may benefit blockchain startups by preserving more capital for development and hiring. So, these are all pretty good things, nothing to complain about. So also, I'm just going to read this other piece in the article and we'll move to the next one. Within crypto circles, the implications are layered. The added cost of traditional remittances. And this is going to be where, let me go up here a little bit. So a certain section of the bill introduces a 5% excise tax on most cross-border remittances. Every time an individual in the U.S. sends money abroad, 5% of the amount would be collected by the Treasury unless the sender uses a qualified provider that verifies them as a U.S. national or citizen. In other words, this is where the president is trying to crack down on some of this, like foreign money going outside of the country. So let's just go ahead and look a little bit. It says within the crypto circles, the implications are layered. The added cost of traditional remittances may drive users towards stablecoin-based alternatives, including USD coin and Bitcoin, which enable borderless value transfer without relying on banks or remittance companies. So in other words, people would start to transfer their money using crypto instead of transferring their money over by traditional means. Well, that's a fight for another day, but we're not going to get into that political tidbit. The main thing we're concerned about is Bitcoin. So let's keep it moving a little bit. Right here, this is, let me see what the name of this paper is. Oh, this is also Crypto News. So looks like, what's this? UAB Online. Oh, this is a good one. It says Trump's big, beautiful bill, how Bitcoin miners could erase 100% of their taxes. So we read a little bit about this. So we'll read this a little bit here as well. says 100% of all the hardware costs in the year of purchase. It can also apply when a firm buys a new mining equipment such as application and specific integrated circuit miners. So just a heads up on that as well. Now, Bitcoin, let's talk a little bit more. What article is this? Oh, this is Crypto Slate, guys. It says Coinbase CEO fears Bitcoin replaces dollar if US debt grows as Elon Musk calls for firing of 215 Republicans. This is kind of interesting. So right here says if the electorate doesn't hold Congress accountable to reducing the deficit and start paying down the debt, Bitcoin is going to take over as reserve currency. This is what the CEO Brian Armstrong had posted on X, CEO of Coinbase. So let's just go ahead and look down a little bit more, talking about the U.S. spending crisis looming. Bitcoin sits in wait with institutional integration. So, okay, in other words, as all the doom and gloom takes place, it says still institutional interest in Bitcoin continues to grow, with BTC trading above 100,000. Spot ETFs are now widely available. The narrative of Bitcoin as digital gold has moved from the fringes into boardrooms, yet it still remains relatively volatile. Says volatility is declining, reducing the strength of the criticism. So right here, they're talking about Armstrong's warning as part of a broader disclosure about financial discipline and long-term viability of the current monetary system. Also highlights the belief among Bitcoin advocates that decentralized assets will increasingly function as alternatives to fiat currencies if inflationary and fiscal pressures continue unchecked. So it says for now, Bitcoin is unlikely to become a true reserve currency in the near term, but as America's debt burden rises, the idea is no longer unthinkable. Armstrong and Musk believe the hyper Bitcoinization clock is ticking. And in a way, I think they're right. So remember, nothing we say here is financial advice. We're just throwing it out there, guys, just to be honest with you. So let's see. Is President Trump's, this is from the Motley Fool. I like them a lot. Not trying to show any partiality. Is says one big beautiful bill act pushing Bitcoin to all-time highs. That's the question here. Mainly you're seeing a lot of repetition. So right here, these guys are talking about the fact that Bitcoin is an anti-inflationary asset, a value digital asset with a fixed supply and a dollar denominated. For some reason, I'm a little tongue-tied right now. Denominated price. Investors are wary of the government's apparent failure to rein it in, says spending are prepared for continued inflation over the long term. Yeah, I'm kind of like seeing where this looks pretty rough, man. This is like, we want Bitcoin to go up, but, or is it going to go up at the expense of the country? That's the question, right? Now, it says why Trump's big beautiful bill is actually super bullish for Bitcoin. This is from CoinGate. So they highlight the following, and I'm not going to try to read all of this. We're just going to summarize this in just a moment. So Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong warned that Bitcoin could become the reserve currency. All right. So if the U.S. doesn't look to its debt rather than increasing it. All right, this is a guy named Max Kaiser, that predicted that the Bitcoin price could rally to 2.2 million with the proposed big beautiful bill. Well, I'm going to say it like this: Bitcoin is going to rally to 2.2 million whether this bill passes or not. It's just a matter of when it's going to rally to 2.2 million. So just a heads up on that. Scarcity is taking place. Like here, John Deeden says opine that Elon Musk and Tesla could buy more Bitcoin as a hedge against the rising US debt. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense too. This is the thing. And I'm just going to mention this very quickly, and then we're going to wrap it up. Bitcoin, this big, beautiful bill is going to help Bitcoin in the fact that it will probably push it up and definitely to the right. The only issue that I'm seeing right here is that we have a problem that with the, how can I say, the US economy, but at the same time, you got to understand whether this problem is fixed or not. And no matter whether they pass the big beautiful bill or not, price of Bitcoin is going up. I think that probably a more accurate uh, way to say it is that the big beautiful bill will accelerate the price of Bitcoin even further. So trust me, big beautiful bill is definitely bullish uh, for Bitcoin. The only thing about it is we got to understand this. The thing is, we have to ask ourselves what's good for Bitcoin, what's good for the economy. So, as far as the big, beautiful bill, we're not trying to debate whether it's good for the economy or not, but we will say this: the big, beautiful bill will help Bitcoin to rise if that's what we're looking for. I'm going to say this: if you're an investor like a lot of us, this will be to your benefit. For those who are not investing, especially in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, might be a little bit challenging. So let's just say that those of us who are here are at the right place at the right time. Look for Bitcoin to grow and also look for those other alts to rise with it. It's Al with Real Life Investing. Let's call it a day on this one and keep your fingers crossed. Have a good one.
Please share, like, comment, and subscribe to Real Life Investing. And thank you for watching.